So good morning, everybody, and thanks for being here this morning. We are now 11 days from the election, so November 3rd is coming up very quickly. We have already had 354,200 people cast their votes in Palm Beach County already. So that's 34.73% of the voters in Palm Beach County have already voted. So our election team, as you can see, is working day and night and doing everything we can to keep this running smoothly. I wanted to point to a slide that we've got here. This will show you our vote by mail ballots that have been returned. And these are updated right now. So we have about 283,000 vote by mail ballots that have already been returned. And so this week we're approaching that critical time where we expect to see a lot of the remaining ballots turned in. So we'll either get them by mail or probably in a lot of the drop-offs as well. We tell people that please allow, if you're in county, please allow at least a week for your ballot to get here. So we're getting close to that period of time where you should get it in the mail quickly if you're going to do it. Again, postage is prepaid, so that's helpful, but let's drop it in the mail quickly if you want to do it by mail. This Saturday is an important deadline. This Saturday, October 24th at 5 p.m. is the last day that you can request from us to mail a ballot to you. So if you want to do a vote by mail request, and you want us to send it to you by mail, 5 o'clock p.m. Saturday. Our main office is going to be open, so if anybody wants to stop by to do that, call us. You can send us an email. The easiest way to request your vote by mail ballot still is online, pbcelections.org, and you go right to, there's a button right on the homepage to request a vote by mail ballot. Also, speaking of the vote by mail ballots, you can track them very easily. So you go again to pbcelections.org, go to the My Status button, and when you go on there, it's going to show a tracker. That tracker is going to show that you've requested it. It's going to show, you can see right up here, it'll show the date that it's been sent, and it'll tell you where we sent it. It'll show that it's been received. It will tell you the day that we received it. If it stays blue, you can see we have different stages of blue. That's good. That means that your ballot's been received, there's been no problems, we've already gone through the Rely Vote process, and we're good to go. If it turns red, as you see here on the bottom, that means that there's an alert underneath it, and it'll say alert, it'll tell you what you need to do. It'll tell you to contact our office, and it'll let you know that you need to go get a cure affidavit and tell you what your problem is. So if it's red, please take action. If it's red, that also means that we have already sent you a letter. If the problem we have is that you either didn't sign it or that your signature didn't match, we're automatically going to send you a letter because obviously we know that we have the correct address. We will also, if you have provided it to us, we will be calling you, we'll text you, we'll email you, whatever we need to do based on the information you've provided for us. We'll also be trying to reach you that way because obviously we want to make sure that you can get that ballot cured as quickly as possible. But the big thing people need to know is if it's received and it's blue, you're good to go. On election day, that's going to show as counted. We are getting questions about, well, why is it different than Broward and Miami-Dade? Because theirs is showing counted. I'll tell you, we had each supervisor can decide to do it each way. If we elected the version that shows as counted as soon as we receive it, which is what they've done. If we do that, it's going to show as counted as soon as the mail comes in and as soon as we've received it. Then what's going to happen is if you're one of the few that has a signature problem, it'll show as counted, but then it's going to go backwards and show as having an alert and having a problem. And we don't want to take the risk that somebody saw it when it showed as counted, didn't go back and look, and now they realize that now they've got a problem. So we're doing it this way. And so if it's blue, you're fine. It's going to turn to counted on election day. We don't want people to think that just because it's showing unreceived, that means we're not processing it. As you all have seen back here, we're constantly opening, processing, and sending things through. So this is just your tracker that's letting you know. All right, so I think that it's working very well. There is sometimes a delay, and that's just because when people say, well, I dropped it off this morning at 10 o'clock, and I went back and it's not showing as received. Well, we're going to pick those ballots up each night. They'll come back here the following morning. We're going to process them. It'll go through that process of looking at the signatures, confirming that there's not already voter history to show that, making sure you hadn't previously voted. And so then we're going to accept it. Then it goes to the website vendor to put it on the website. So it could be 48 to 72 hours before you're seeing on the website. So just want to let you know, doesn't mean there's a problem. You've dropped it off on Monday. It should show on our website no later than Thursday. A lot of times it's showing up by Wednesday. Okay? Remember, that, again, that ballots are due by 7 p.m. on election night. So please get them to our main office by 7 p.m. on election night if you aren't turning them in early. The earlier we get them in, the better, because we want to make sure that, again, that you have time. If there is a problem, we want to make sure that voters have time to do that signature cure. This week, you also may have heard that the state had recommended that we have in-person monitoring as well as the 24/7 video surveillance at our secure drop boxes at our 4 offices. There's a question, it's not required by law, but we want to assure our voters that we have taken that step. So we have, during the day, we have our staff members who are monitoring the boxes daily, and in the evenings and on the weekends, we have hired the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. So the Sheriff's Department is sitting and watching them through the night and through the weekends, and our staff is doing it during the day. So we've taken that extra step just to make sure that they're secure, in addition to the 24/7 video surveillance that we have going there. So we have had a big week as well this week for early voting. In spite of the rain, people have turned out. You can see here, this is actually our early voting numbers as of the end of the day last night, and they've already changed. So they're continually updating. We have over 70,000 now who have already voted in Palm Beach County. But this will tell you, you can see that Jupiter Community Center is busy. They have a line all the time. I was up there for a while yesterday, and all of our sites, I want to really thank all the Palm Beach County voters, because we've had lines, we've had rain. It has been moving well. The workers inside are working very quickly to get people through the lines. Most people have been great in that they have clearly already read the ballot and are coming in prepared to vote quickly and get out. So we're not finding that most people are taking a long time in the voting booth, which is very helpful, and it lets us move those lines along quickly. So thanks to everybody who's been great, but you can see we have had a fantastic turnout, and people are very good-natured even in the rain, so we appreciate that. Also want to thank Palm Beach County voters for being safe and healthy. People are, again, being very, very cooperative in terms of keeping their distance in line. So we've got everything marked with the 6-foot markers on our floors, and we appreciate that everybody's done a very good job with that. Remember, there is a mask mandate in Palm Beach County, so if you're in public, you do need to wear your mask. So please keep doing that. And we've, again, had very good luck, and we haven't had any big issues related to the masks. So thank you for that. With the launch of early voting, we also had the launch of our vans this week. So last week we showed you the vans and we showed you the setup. The vans are out at 25 different locations. Here's a couple of pictures we have of our van folks. The umbrellas that we showed you, and you can see in the left, they're not always up because the wind has been pretty wicked. And so we have had the wind sort of try to pick up a couple of our umbrellas. So for safety reasons, if the wind is bad, they're not putting up the umbrellas, but the van is certainly there. You can see they're wearing their white shirt that identifies them as one of our workers. We've got our little boxes. We have had an incredible response to that. Those little boxes are filling up very quickly. So just to let people know, the box is there to let you know that you're at the right place. But we have gone to, at a lot of the sites, we have secure bins, kind of big gray bins or clear bins that are sealed on both sides. And so if you see that and we're having but the voters put those into those bins, that's okay. We just want to make sure that way fewer people are touching your ballot, right? Because we can handle a lot more. So we've had great response. So at the boxes will be there, and some people still like to put it in there, but we're going to have bins available as well. Those are sealed, and we're going to have, just so folks know what to expect there. And we have had, I think the first day, we had over 10,000 ballots collected. On Tuesday and Wednesday, I think we had over 9,000 ballots collected at the vans. I think that the last night we may have had closer to about 7,500. I'm waiting on those actual numbers now. But you can see there is a really big demand for that, and folks are using it, and that's great. I can tell you the workers that are doing it are thrilled. They're very excited. They're having a really good time being on the front lines. The voters are enjoying it. Depends on where they are. Sometimes the van's in a really good location that the voters just drive by, especially when it was raining. Our folks were running out there and taking the ballots from them and sticking them right into a box, so they didn't even have to get out of their cars. Some places it's not good for that because they would block traffic, but they're being used. Don't forget, we do also have at all of the early voting sites, you can still go up to the site if you choose to without waiting in line. You can still drop your ballot off there. So one of the things that we also want to talk about is, on those drop boxes, you'll see we have security out there. And we've done that, again, just in an abundance of caution. We just want to make sure that people are feeling good. We do not have sworn law enforcement with those. We just have hired a private security company. They're out there just, again, to make sure everything is going smoothly and just another set of eyes. We also had this week 2 telephone town halls that we launched. We've had nearly 20,000 people participate in those so far, and we're going to continue to have a few more. The dates on those are next week, Wednesday and Thursday. The one on Wednesday is going to also be offered in Spanish. So we encourage people to go onto our website if you want to sign up for those. We're talking about mail-in ballots, safety precautions at the polls, vote by mail, and we've had a lot of people ask questions. We have a lot of questions, and we allow the folks to call in, and we answer them on the air, as many as we can get through. And I just also want to let you know, the big question that I keep hearing is, what's going on with the president voting? We have heard, as you have heard, he's definitely going to be in town, and we expect that he will vote on Saturday. Have been in touch with the White House staff and Secret Service. They are making a determination, so I know it was reported that they'll be voting in West Palm Beach. My understanding is they've not yet made the determination exactly where or what time he'll be voting, so I'm sure that they'll be putting that information out, and we will, of course, work to make sure that it's a very smooth voting process for everybody involved, our voters who will be in line, as well as the president and his safety. So we'll continue to work with them once we know more information. And so next week, we expect that there's going to be continued excitement, and they're continuing to, as I said, to get the vote by mail ballots in, and we expect that early voting will continue. So it is important that we support one another at this time, that everybody is being very cooperative the way, and continue to be cooperative the way they have been at the polling locations. We're really appreciative of that. We've had a couple of people who we hear have been a little unruly or a little loud. When I've gone up to them, right away they've dispersed. I had heard they had a couple of people who felt intimidated at 1 or 2 of our sites, and we sent folks over there right away and stopped that. So we don't expect there to be any continuing problems, but if there are, we want to let you know that we won't permit that, and we will be on top of that. And so if there are, our poll workers are working hard, our van staff is working hard, the folks here, the opening teams, the tabulation teams, they're working long hours, and I tell them sleep is for November 5th. So we're going through, it's going well, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to ask them, but otherwise we appreciate you being here. The question was, in other counties, they've had reports of voter intimidation, and what are we doing? So we have poll deputies outside who are watching to make sure that that 150-foot mark is being respected. We haven't had any issues. When we did have 1 or 2 people, and it really actually, those weren't intimidation, Those were people passing things out in line, so we stopped that immediately. We did have a report at one site where people were feeling uncomfortable, and I think one of the things we have to do is that we have to balance. People do have a right outside of the 150 feet to campaign, and so as long as they're not doing it in an intimidating way, the fact that they're out there campaigning, we can't stop. If it crosses that line, however, and gets to where voters are if they are intimidating voters, we've had no reports of anybody blocking the way to get through or stopping anybody or harassing them as they go through. But if that were to have, if we got reports of that, we would send somebody immediately to stop that. All right, so the question was the Iran and Russian emails that have gone out again to folks in other counties. We've not heard that in Palm Beach County, and that was the question was indicating that. And what we're doing is we are trying to be very proactive in terms of the amount of information that we're getting out that's accurate information. So through the teletown halls, we've got a lot of emails, texts, we have mailers that are going out from our office. So we're basically trying to saturate the market with radio, TV, Spanish, English, Creole, to let everybody know the correct information and accurate information from us. And then if they are getting anything that's confusing or that they think doesn't sound right, encouraging voters to call us. Call our office, let us look this up for you and give you the accurate information. Because we do know, even here, as I mentioned last week, we do have people who are sending out texts that say your vote is not going to count, and then makes it sound like it's coming from our office. We're never going to say something to you that says your vote is not going to count. We're going to tell you how to make your vote count. So if you're getting that kind of stuff, call our office and let us give you the truth. So I don't have those numbers for today yet, unless he was bringing them up. As of yesterday, I think we were still running at about, for the signature and no signatures, it was under 1/3 of 1%. So it's a very small number. And I can get for you before, right at the end here, I can try to get those numbers for you. But our signature and no signatures are very, very small, again, in terms of less than 1/3 of, it was about 1/3 of 1%. Right, so if you are one of those people, that's correct. It will show up on red, and we'll have sent you a letter, and if we have other information, we're going to contact you every which way we can. Not yet. No, not yet. Obviously, once we know where he'll be, we'll make sure that, we tell our poll workers all the time they're going to treat everybody. Every single voter here is important to us, and so everybody's got to be treated with respect, and you're going to do the right, do a good job for every voter, including the president. We are, when you say not counting them, we are. So I said the fact that it's not showing up here doesn't mean we're not counting them. But what happens is nothing is actually counted until election night, and that it's not released. But we're going through, that's what's happening back here in the warehouse every day. We are opening them, we are processing them. What it shows is it only shows us how many we've processed, because we don't pull those results out, the tallies, until election night. We run a program that pulls them from those 10 DS850s that you see back there tabulating. It will pull them out on election night, but we're processing them through on a daily basis and making sure that we're caught up each day. The tracker on the website is at pbcelections.org. If you go to the My Status button, when you go to My Status, you're going to put in your name and your birth date. It will then pull up your specific information. It tells you there The party we have you listed at, the address we have is your residential address as well as your mailing address in case it's different. Tells you, again, shows you your tracker.
Give us some more specifics. You say there was before the people they complained, were they trying to threaten people with being loud?
Right. The question was about what were they doing that was unruly. We had one report that there was a big bus, and that there were a number of people who were yelling loudly. And one of the things we say is you have a right to campaign, you have a right to enthusiastically campaign, but you don't necessarily have a right to a megaphone if it's going to be disrupting the site. So we want people to exercise those rights and those freedoms to campaign outside of the 150-foot mark, but it can't be in a disruptive manner. We still have an obligation to keep the site orderly. So you're always balancing an orderly site with people's right to campaign. And so we try to do that fine balance. And if it crosses over, if somebody's standing at the 150-foot mark and 1 inch with a megaphone blasting it into the voters and doing that, then that's not going to be appropriate. We're not going to allow that.